Hey guys, welcome to Combustion Junction. I'm Steve. Behind me is the CM400T Cafe Racer project. Today, we're going to deal with the front end. In my ever-evolving sort of plan to get this thing started for the first time, I've decided to sort of pick out at all the sort of surrounding functions before I actually concentrate on the wiring and the spark and the fuel and everything. Last episode I dealt with the custom muffler, so now it won't wake up the neighbors when I go to test start it. Well, it won't wake up the neighbors completely. Today I want to talk about the front end. Sort of the aspects of it is lowering it, how I'm lowering it, why I'm going to do it that way, and then with that getting the controls on there. I'm doing the clip-on handlebars and a custom Speedo that needs its own mount. So I'm going to deal with all that stuff today because in the greater scheme of getting the bike started, I want the kill switch in place and wired in. I want the key in place and wired in. I'd like to have all my dash lights, my oil pressure light, my neutral light and everything in place and wired in, knowing that when I go to start the bike, I've already troubleshot all the possible scenarios of what can or cannot happen. Seeing as this bike came in pieces, I could really roughly wire it and hope that I get a spark and hope that the starter kicks in and everything else. But if I can get all these extra little things going, I'll deal with the back end at another time, the tail light and the signals and stuff. But right now I want to get the front end in. I have a new LED headlight with built-in turn signals. Not that I necessarily want to get into headlights and signals. I more want to get into kill switches and keys and dash lights, as they say. So let's get started on the custom mount for the Speedo. So there we have it, Speedo mounted, clip-ons on, all the handlebar controls roughly fitted into place. So basically what this gives me is an excellent starting point. Now, when I go do my wiring, I have the kill switch and the starter button that I can easily tap into this side. All my lighting controls and signals and everything else, if I want to wire them up, they're already on this side. And then I've got my custom Speedo, which just comes with loose wiring, but what I can do now is adapt it with the stock plug so that basically I have 3 plug and play items that when I run my wiring loom, everything falls into place. So let's talk about the lowering of the front end. You'll notice that I have the clip-ons on top of the top triple tree as opposed to down below them. Originally, when I was feeling out the stance of the bike, the easiest way to do it is to just loosen the brackets and slide the shocks up the mounts to find your stance. And that was sort of my original thought. Just do it, get the stance right, then I can go do the proper lowering where you cut the springs, take apart the shock, shim it in, and do that whole thing. The longer I sort of live with this, the more it started to grow on me and I started to like it. And I actually, when I put the clip-ons on, it was purely just they came in the mail and I stuck them in place. The stance of the bike as it is now with these, I'm gonna go with. It has a bit of a triumphy kind of feel with it, and sort of, I think the shape of the bike and the shape of the tank and everything else, I think lends itself to these guys being a little bit higher. I still love the low profile without the lift and the original bracketry that came with the bike. I love that the transition between the clip-ons and the Speedo is sort of a smooth thing. I love that the Speedo is very small and simple in between. This is where I'm gonna go. It lets me lower the bike, and if I made the commitment of cutting the springs and putting the shims in the shock, I can never go back. This way I can try it, and if I ultimately hate it, or if somebody else wants to change it, it's undoable. It's essentially, I could go back to stock height at this point, which I wouldn't. So that's sort of my whole reason behind that. Yeah, so at this point, I can call the front of the bike lowered without having to dig into the front forks, which I'm also happy about because the seals have already been done on these and they've already been filled with new oil. So, you know, if I don't have to touch it, I won't, which I'm very happy about. The key will not go up here. The key will either get moved here, the other side, or back where the electronics under the seat exists. That I have to decide later. But for now, all this stuff is in place, so I'm able to run my main wiring loom and sort of have everything kind of fall where it should be. So that's it for me today, guys. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up if you feel the urge to do so, and we will catch you next time. Cheers.